Hi everyone. So today is the 13th day of Terraform. So till now, what we have covered? So we have covered all these use cases like file creation on the laptop, five ways of passing variable value, Terraform data and output block, Terraform state file, conditional resource creation, how to create VPC using Terraform, and all other topics. Correct? You can see that. So today we'll be talking on module in Terraform. So I have opened this particular directory in my VS Code, and I will just show you how it can be utilized, and module can be written to call the your different modules, correct, from one place. So here, if you can see my directory structure. So what is in the directory structure? Let me delete this terraform.tf state file so that it will be clear for you. So here in the modules, you can see I have written two modules, one for the EC2, second for the VPC, correct? And here in this particular demo, we will be also covering the concept of variables. We'll also be covering the correct concept of output, correct? How can we utilize the output concept, correct? So we'll be covering all these topics here. So let's talk about this particular demo and the directory structure. So here, if you can see, I have created two modules. One is the VPC and second is EC2. So what all the resources I'm creating in the VPC? I'm creating one VPC, then one public subnet, and then I'm creating one route table. Then I'm creating one route table association so that the subnet what I'm creating that can be associated with the route table which has the access of the internet gateway. Then only it will be the public subnet, correct? That you understand from the previous videos, or if you don't understand, you can watch out the previous videos where you will get the clarity over the AWS cloud or the Terraform related course content, correct? So here I'm creating all this. So to have the name, I'm using variables value, correct? Var.bbc name, then var.public subnet name, var.public route table name, and then var.igw name, internet gateway name, correct? So for that, I'm creating one variables.tf file. Here it is, var.tf, bbc name, public subnet name, IGW name, and the public route table name. So here I'm passing all the default value as well. If you don't want to pass here, you can pass the variables.tf at the main.tf in parallel to this module call, correct? So till now, we have written vpc.tf, then vas.tf. Uh, Proceeding further, I have written a second module, ec2.tf, correct? Here I have created one AWS instance, and these are the configuration you can see. And then this is one is the key pair, and then the security group for the AWS, sorry, EC2 instance, so that it can be connected with the internet. Correct? So all these resources I have written, and then bash.tf file is there for the EC2, correct? So these will be the variables required. So if you can see in the EC2.tf, I have the requirement of this public subnet ID, correct? I have to pass the subnet ID. And where subnet ID is created? Subnet ID we are creating in VPC.tf, correct? I'm creating this subnet in VPC.tf module. So this is a different module, VPC is a different module, EC2.tf is a different module, correct? So here in the ec2.tf, I have written variable.public subnet ID. So it will look for the variables which is declared here public subnet ID. And from here it will get the value, it will get the output of the VPC and it will be passed, correct? So in the outputs, I'm writing two output block for the VPC ID and one for the public subnet ID, correct? So you can see in the brief, there are two modules, one with the name EC2, second one with the name VPC. EC2 will require the output from the VPC, like VPC ID and your subnet ID. EC2 will require, correct? It will require the variable.public subnet ID, and it will also require the VPC ID as well. So these two here you can see in the security group, VPC ID it requires. So these two things are required. Uh, Let me just stop for 1 second here. So back to the videos, we were talking about the VPC ID. So here I'm using the variable.vpc ID, and you can see it will require the output from the VPC module, correct? So for that, I'm writing output.tf, and I'll be getting this VPC ID as output, and that output will be passed into EC2 module, correct? So how it will be done? So here I'm writing main.tf. In the main.tf, what I am doing, these two are the modules, EC2 and the VPC, correct? You can see. So in the main.tf, I'm writing two modules, module VPC. And what is the directory structure for the VPC module? It's on the parallel to the modules like dot slash, it's so the on the current directory. So it's in the parallel, correct? If you see in the main.tf, and then it's in the parallel modules. Dot slash, that means on the current directory. on in the module folder, then get into the VPC folder and then execute the whatever is written there. So in the VPC folder, I have written where's.tf, vpc.tf, output.tf. So all the resources will be executed which are in the three files, correct? Then for the EC2, similarly, you can see in the source, we used to pass path, correct? So you can see on the current directory within the modules folder, then EC2. So in the EC2, I have written EC2.tf, output.tf, and watch.tf. What is in the output.tf for the EC2? You can see it will print public IP of the EC2 instance, correct? That will be the output. So this is how you can write different modules. Like I can write the modules for RDS, for the S3, for the IAM role and policy, for the Lambda function. You can write different module. And then you can have different directory structure. I have directly written main.tf. That's why I'm directly calling it. You can have different directory structure as well. And from there you can call the modules and you can pass the relevant path in this source, correct? And then if you see my VPC was not dependent on any of the output, while the EC2 was dependent on VPC ID and public subnet ID, correct? That we had configured. So in the EC2.tf, you can see we had the requirement of these two things, this public subnet ID, then the VPC ID. And these variables were declared here, but it does not have any kind of value, correct? Sorry. Yeah, VPC ID and the public subnet ID. These two are don't have any default value, correct? So it will require the output and output for the VPC we are creating from here. So this is the VPC module and from there it's coming the output, correct? So let's get into the main.tf. You will see the pattern. How can we get the output of one module into different module? So I have written module.vpc. That means you have to get into the VPC module and then you have to get the VPC ID value. Then again, I have to get the subnet details. So I am calling module.vpc and then public subnet ID. So this way it will get the output of the, like the first execution will happen for the VPC. And then of course I have written depends on as well. So in the depends on, it says that module.vpc should be executed first and then EC2 will be executed secondary, correct? So once VPC is created, it will go for the VPC ID, it will go for the public subnet ID. This will come in output and it will be passed to the EC2 resource. So in the EC2, I have passed VPC ID and public subnet ID as a variable. You can see, correct? Bash.tf, it's VPC ID, that's the name, and then public subnet ID, that is the name. So these two will be passed here and it will create the resource. So we have talked more about the directory structure and the resource. How can we write? Let's get into the terminal and we will execute this, correct? So you can again see the directory structure main.tf and then of course then providers.tf will be there to execute this. And then there is a module. Within this module, there are two different modules for the EC2 and VPC. Let's get into the terminal and execute this. If you have any question in between to understand this, you can ask me in the comment section, correct? So let me do the clear. Let me run Terraform init. Terraform init. And once it will be initialized, we will run the Terraform plant as usual, correct? Terraform plant. You will see the resources which will be created and then we will do the finally Terraform apply and everything will be created. So all the dependency will also be resolved like the first VPC execution, then EC2 execution, correct? So you can see all the plans are being printed here, correct? AWS instance and it requires the subnet ID, correct? So you can see subnet ID known after apply. That means once the VPC will be created, then it will get the subnet ID and that subnet ID will be passed. That means it will be known only after apply, correct? Till now it's not created, that's why it does not show anything. Then the route table association, public subnet creation, and at the last VPC creation, correct? So Terraform normally understands the logic and the dependency behind the modules and behind the resources that these are the interdependent. But if you want to make it smooth, you can write that depends on block as I have written in the main.tf, correct? You can see depends on the module.vpc, then only EC2 will be executed. So let's run Terraform apply as well. Terraform apply -auto approve as usual, so that we don't have to pass anything in between like yes and no. So Terraform apply auto approve, it will apply everything and it will create all the 9 resources, correct? 9 to add, 0 to change, 0 to destroy. And once everything will be done, we will be okay to check it on the console and we will try to connect our EC2 instance from the console itself. Creating EC2 instance operation error. Okay, so now the subnet has been created in a different region. So I will have to mention the region as well, AP South 1A and AP South 1B. Okay, so let me do one thing. I will have to write the availability zone in the my subnet. correct? So let me write availability zone AP South 1A, and I will save this, and the same availability zone I will be passing in the EC2 creation as well. Control C, then EC2.tf. So here also I will be passing the same value. Let's do the Terraform fly again. We'll see. So there was a issue with the availability zone, correct? So T2 micro is actually not available in AP South 1C. You can see the error as well. That's why it didn't allow it to create. Now, when we have explicitly specified that AP South 1A will be the availability zone for our EC2 instance and for the subnet zone as subnet ID as well. So now it should process, and definitely it will process. So you can see it's creating, and creation completed. 3 added, 0 change, 2 destroyed. 2 destroyed because it went into the failed state, correct? So everything has been created. Let's get into the console and we will see. So let me refresh. Let's refresh the VPC section as well. VPC is there. One subnet should be there. One route table should be there. Public route table. Let me refresh it. Yeah, only one route table. Then internet gateway is there, correct? And in the route table, you will see the association of the subnet as well. So let me show you. Internet gateway is there. Subnet association is there. Let's get into the EC2 block, and you will see the one EC2 instance is there, which is running. Let me click on the connect, and it should be connected as well. Correct. So it's moving. Yeah, it's connected, correct? So you can run the command whatever you want, correct? So yeah, anything you want, like you want to create any file via abc.txt, you can do the shift enter. This is test file. You can write anything, correct? This is test file. You can escape, write and save. Then you can do the lslrth. You can see the file with abc.txt with read permissions, correct? So your EC2 instance has been created in public subnet, and it's public EC2 instance. That's why I connected, correct, with the help of internet gateway. So this is how you can utilize the concept of modules. You can write down your different modules for different resources, and you can decouple your modules, correct? That these modules will not be dependent to each other. It can be called separately, and the default value can be passed, or you can pass value at runtime, or you can get the output from one module and that value can be passed into the second module, correct? So yeah, that's all in this particular video talking about the modules. We will meet up in next video with a new topic. So thank you so much till the time. Bye.